Good evening and welcome to the Newshour Agenda. I'm Madhavdas G. Viewers, the United States Department of Justice has indicted Adani Group Chairman Gautam Adani and several senior business executives for their alleged roles in a multi-billion-dollar bribery and investor fraud scheme. US authorities allege that Adani Group offered over $265 million in bribes to Indian government officials to secure solar energy contracts. Now, according to the US authorities, between 2020 and 2024, senior executives of the Adani Group conspired to misrepresent the company's anti-bribery practices to US investors and international financial institutions. Adani Group has called these allegations baseless and said that it would initiate legal action. However, after the allegations, Kenya has ordered the cancellation of the procurement process to expand the country's main airport, in which the Kenya government was considering a proposal by Adani Group. Following the allegations by US Justice Department leader of opposition, Rahul Gandhi has demanded the arrest of Gautam Adani and a JPC probe into the matter. Rahul also dragged Prime Minister Modi into the controversy and alleged that despite being involved in multiple scams, Adani was running scot-free as he was being protected by the Prime Minister, he said. Even India bloc leaders have been echoing what Rahul Gandhi has stated. Listen in.
Mr. Adani has done apparently one 2,000 crore scam, multiple others probably, but he's scot-free. And it's a vindication of what we've been saying. The Prime Minister is protecting Mr. Adani, and the Prime Minister is involved in corruption with Mr. Adani.
देश में भी यही स्थिति है, देश को लूट रहे हैं अदानी, और इसलिए हमारी जो राहुल जी ने मांग की है उसका हम सपोर्ट करते हैं और अदानी जी के ऊपर यहाँ पर भी एफआईआर हो।
अडानी को लेकर तमाम सारे आरोप कई देशों की एजेंसियों ने लगाए, कई सारे खुलासे हुए, भारत सरकार ने उनको सिरे से डिनाई किया और जांच कराना भी उचित नहीं समझा। जो हमारी फाइनेंशियल तमाम सारी एजेंसीज हैं उनसे भी नहीं समझा कि ढंग से जांच करके दुनिया को एक मैसेज दे दें।
Meanwhile, BJP launched a blistering attack on Rahul and Congress for allegedly trying to damage Indian markets through propaganda and sought to know why its governments in many states had welcomed investments by the Adani Group. BJP also claimed that Congress netas attacking PM Modi was nothing new and that the Grand Old Party has been doing it since 2002. Listen in.
ये पूरा मामला जुलाई 2021 से फरवरी 2022 के बीच का है। स्वाभाविक रूप से ये चारों राज्य जिसका जिक्र डॉक्यूमेंटेशन में सामने आया है, यूएस में सामने आया है, उन चारों राज्य में ना तो हमारे मुख्यमंत्री थे और ना ही हमारी समर्थित सरकार थी, कांग्रेस और उनके सहायक दलों की सरकार थी। सन 2002 से मोदी जी की क्रेडिबिलिटी को ध्वस्त करने की चेष्टा आप, आपकी माताश्री और आपकी पार्टी लगातार कर रही है।
ये अदानी फोबिया से ग्रसित हैं। इन्हें कभी राफेल में माफी मांगना पड़ा, मोदी जी को गाली दिए उसमें माफी मांगना पड़ा, जो लिख के दिया है वो बोल रहे हैं।
It seems Congress can go to any extent in order for their virod. They can even descend to Desh Virod. And now in abusing one group, they will abuse the country itself. And that too before Parliament.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, let's take this across to our guest now. Joining us is Tuin Sinha of the BJP. We have Kartikeya Thana, New York attorney. Joining us, Karan Verma, author, is with us. With us here in the studio is Tehseen Poonawalla, political analyst. Dr. Riju Datta of the TMC joins us. Advocate Anmol Panwar of the Aam Aadmi Party is also with us on the broadcast. Let me start with you. First and foremost, the allegations of a scheme to bribe the Indian government officials and several contracts to secure the contracts worth billions of dollars is what is being alleged in this indictment. Mr. Rahul Gandhi says that why is Mr. Gautam Adani a free man when several chief ministers have been arrested on similar charges in the past? Your response to that, Tuin Sinha.
Well, good evening, Madhav. Good evening, everybody. You know, when Rahul Gandhi came out today for his press conference, I was very confident that he would say he would declare that Revant Reddy is returning the 100 crore amount received by Revant Reddy from Adani Foundation on 19th October this year, barely a month ago. I was very confident he would terminate the 12,000 crore deal between the Telangana government and Adani, but instead, he does not seem to understand the difference between indictment and conviction. Too rich for somebody who flashes the Constitution day in and day out. By his own logic, by Rahul Gandhi's own logic, he should be rearrested today in the National Herald case. You know, cases should be reopened against the Gandhi family in the August Westland case because those were equally strong indictment, and by Rahul Gandhi's logic, he has justified the arrest of Arvind Kejriwal, of Manish Sisodia and other Aam Aadmi Party leaders. You know, if this opposition was serious, even if they don't want to terminate their businesses, they should pursue the matter independently in the Indian courts. But to not have an answer for 4 state governments of the opposition allegedly having kickbacks and bribe, I think this opposition has today squandered and killed its own credibility completely.
Okay, Tehsir, I want you to respond to at least 2 of those points. Many points that he has made, but 2 I think are very important. What about, you can't have a position that Mr. Gautam Adani has to be arrested. There were charges until now. Now you say that he has to be arrested is the demand. And yet, state governments of opposition ruled states, including Telangana, where Mr. Revant Reddy was recently seen, Mr. Adani, they continue to do business. Correct. Now, what kind of logic is that?
Madhav, good evening. Thank you for having me on the show. Good evening to all my fellow panelists and to all your viewers. Let's just understand the chronology here. First of all, I'm not against any industrialists. I think industrialists must be encouraged. But on this particular industrialist, time and again questions have been raised. Now, what is the chronology here? The state governments haven't directly dealt with this particular industrialist and he hasn't bribed them. They've actually dealt with the Solar Energy Corporation of India, a public sector PSU under the union government. They did a deal with the said industrialist, and then the said industrialist supplied power to these states. That's the first part of it. This is a central government PSU. Why can't it make all the agreements public on Times Now of all the agreements? Number 2, let's take the example of Andhra Pradesh, one of the states that is not a BJP state that has been indicted. There is evidence or allegations that the said industrialist had a meeting with the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, and then the Andhra Pradesh government tied up with the SECI. Now, will these deals be made public by the SECI? Third, I agree that an indictment is not proof of any guilt. Yet, there is evidence, PowerPoint presentations, etc., leading up to this corruption. Now, if this particular industrialist is not, if the states are corrupt, then also this industrialist is corrupt. So why don't we start an admission in the state and everybody be investigated? Fourth, right now, while coming on Times Now, a few hours ago, Kenya has cancelled a power project with this industrialist. Sri Lanka has made allegations that the Honorable Prime Minister forced Sri Lanka to have an agreement with this industrialist. Same has been made by Bangladesh, and Bangladesh today is saying that listen, this power is too high that this industrialist is dragging us. We have to negotiate, and as of now, the government of India is negotiating on behalf of this industrialist. As of right now with Bangladesh, as of now. Don't say that we are teaching Bangladesh a lesson, they're negotiating to reduce the power rates. Bangladesh is on record saying we did this deal on behalf of the Prime Minister. Now I'm asking, I'm not taking the side of the industrialists, neither are you. But why is the BJP defending the industrialists? That is the question they're not answering. Put that all out, give it on Times Now, give out all the agreements. Why aren't they doing it? The agreements are with a central government PSU. Okay. Let's be clear on that.
Okay. Can I okay. He's essentially saying the center has to come clean. Why not have an inquiry? And also, his allegation is that why is the centre defending Mr. Adani? Please respond to Insina.
First of all, we have not defended the Adani Group. The Adani Group is capable of defending itself. Problem is the convoluted manner in which they link the Prime Minister and make it appear that Prime Minister's personal proximity with the group is responsible for its growth. That is where the problem lies. Today, I am asking the opposition of the 4 state governments which are alleged to have received bribes. There is only one state government which continues to be in office, which is the DMK government. Let the DMK government set an example by filing an FIR. by initiating an inquiry. Even that they cannot do, and they expect to be taken seriously. What Kenya has done, Kenya has acted in a very naive manner, and I am inclined to believe that Kenya could be acting at the behest of China, because Adani Group's growing interest in port infrastructure in Africa is a cause of concern for China.
Just give me one line.
You know, we'll get into the rationale. No, Tessie, the pointed question.
Sure.
Why don't if Kenya is the example that you are citing, then of course other state governments can also lead by example. Why don't they cancel the contracts? If that is the logic, then
I agree with you, because these contracts are with the central government PSU, not with the industrialists. But let me ask one question.
No, but the state governments are involved, is what you just said. Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Tamil Nadu.
I think
Bhupesh Bagel's government.
I do agree.
DMK is still your ally.
I absolutely agree this should happen. I agree with you. I think we should go into an investigation. Who is escaping an investigation? But let me say one thing. What the BJP is saying, state governments or Congress is trying to frame the Prime Minister. Let's accept this for a second. Let's accept this. Is the BJP spokesperson saying Kenya, which has an excellent relationship with India, remember we want to lead the global south, East Africa is extremely important for our security. Tanzania and Kenya are hand in glove with China, and they are attacking the Prime Minister. They've named the Prime Minister. Sri Lanka is doing it. Bangladesh is doing it, and they did it before this current government came in. And if Bangladesh is doing it, why is the current government negotiating with them to reduce the power prices? You've not answered one question except whataboutery. Answer my pointed questions.
Okay, Tuin, very quickly, then I have to go across to other panelists as well. There are 4 other panelists who have not yet spoken. Tuin.
No, I've already answered the question. You know, they don't want to initiate any action. Their state governments,
So the question is Kenya,
like I
Sri
said,
Lanka.
Rahul Gandhi has indicted himself.
Okay.
Sorry?
Kenya, Sri Lanka. They are also doing it on behalf of Congress.
Kenya should not be acting in the manner in which it has.
Sri Lanka?
Because the court has explicitly stated that it is an indictment, and the defendant is free to defend himself and will not be
That
proven
is USA.
guilty
Kenya, I'm
otherwise.
talking at Sri Lanka.
So Kenya
you're running
one by one. Let's not have this kind of debate.
He's going to USA.
Oh no, one by one. It's okay. You had your say, Tessie. You had your say. Let him complete his point.
I don't want to interrupt because he's gone to US. Let's talk Kenya, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, please.
Tuin.
No, Sri Lanka has not terminated contracts. Bangladesh, in any case, there is complete chaos with the new regime over there. So if they cancel a contract based upon non-payment, I don't think it is something which needs to be taken seriously.
Okay, let me bring in Karthikeya Tanna, because he's perhaps the best qualified to talk about this, given the fact that he's an attorney in New York. Karthikeya, of course, an indictment is not a conviction. I mean, it's perhaps the closest equivalent we have to it in the Indian system is a charge sheet. So it's a set of allegations, and the Adani Group itself has said that it will fight those allegations. But what Tehseen is referring to, and what the opposition is referring to, is that they are saying there are certain evidences which could be damaging. There are also claims that there is electronic evidence to prove these bribery charges, and the bribery charges are, of course, lying to investors and banks to raise billions of dollars to obstruct justice. What does it mean legally in terms of how things will play out as far as this case is concerned?
So, Madhav, let me say this at the outset, first of all. Neither Gautam Adani nor his nephew Sagar Adani have been personally indicted in the charge in the US insofar as it relates to bribery of foreign officials. And there's a reason for it. Adani Green is not a US company, nor does it trade on the US stock exchange. So the indictment does not charge them for personally receiving bribes or giving bribes, rather, to government officials. So let's get that out of the way. And therefore, this question of, so what remains in the U.S. indictment, essentially, is that the Adani Group, Adani Green, and even Gautam Adani and Sagar Adani did not essentially disclose properly the ongoing investigations relating to the bribery charges when they were essentially issuing bonds or offering bonds to U.S. investors. So that is basically a securities-related fraud. And yes, that also transgresses to criminal jurisprudence as well, and which is why, the U.S. authorities have brought out the maximum level of charges against Adani as possible. Now, here, and Rahul Gandhi keeps saying, why isn't Adani arrested? I'll tell you why. Because you can take my word for it, within a year or so, there's going to be a settlement in this case, at least insofar as Gautam Adani and Sagar Adani are concerned. There's going to be a payment of a hefty fine, because these types of cases happen in the US all the time, where there's a failure to disclose material facts which affects the decision of investors to subscribe to the offering. There's going to be a hefty fine and a rap on the knuckles, and that's about it. And which is why Rahul Gandhi, I don't know why Rahul Gandhi is so obsessed with arresting Adani, I guess the only reason is that way he can then say that, oh, look, Modi's friend is arrested. So it's all political games. And regarding Tehseen's point about, that, yes, of course, Adani Green and the other company had a direct contract with the central government company. But in order for that to be effectuated, the state government's entities had to agree to a certain price, which is why the bribery actually happened at the alleged bribery, I should say, happened at the state level. And which is where, the governments, either Congress governments or, governments of India Alliance members are the ones who are indicted there. So again, this hypocrisy is something that is very astounding to me, to be honest.
Okay, Riju Datta, there is a hypocrisy here that's being pointed out by Kartikeya Tana. I'd like you to respond to that. And also, one of the defenses coming in from the BJP side that it's all, the same sort of tune since 2002. Defame Modi, defame India. It's all the same because ultimately the point is to try and corner Modi using any means possible. That's the defense coming in from the BJP side. Your response to that, Riju Datta?
Thank you, Madhav, and I hope you'll give me the courtesy of time. See, in old India, Harshad Mehta was a thief. But in new India, Gautam Adani is a nationalist. That is how far we have come along. Today, I cannot care less about Gautam Adani today. He's just a businessman. वो अदानी चोर है कि नहीं हमको फर्क नहीं पड़ता, बट चौकीदार चोर है कि नहीं इससे मुझे और इस देश के लोगों को फर्क पड़ता है. The bottom line is because of all this that has happened, because of this indictment in the United States of Mr. Gautam Adani, the share market has fallen and 12,000 crore rupees LIC has lost. Madhav, you have LIC, I have LIC. LIC has lost 12,000 crores in the share market. Who's answerable for that? The bottom line is all this has been given to union, government, PSU, government officials. So the indictment of this gentleman in the United States is the vindication that Mr. Modi is the epicenter of corruption. He is the bottom line here. You have to understand this. Who's Gautam Adani? I don't know. I don't care about him. And when people are talking about what government have running, you remember, Madhav, he signed an MOU with the government of West Bengal for a coal block called Devcha Pachani. We cancelled that MOU when the Hindenburg research came out. So we came clean. But some other states did not sever their ties with Mr. Adani. Good for them. But it all needs to come out. What I am trying to say is that Manipur is burning. Not a single press conference by the BJP. When Gautam Adani, an industrialist, non-political entity, is indicted in the United States, why is BJP doing a presser? Why is BJP ministers, people like Amit Malviya, making press conference and tweeting in defense of Gautam Adani? Is he directly their paymaster? Okay. Is he directly their paymaster? And last but not the least, Madhav,
quickly
I think the topic of your show shouldn't
Tuhir, I'm coming to you. Let him conclude. I'm coming to you. Just 30 seconds.
Can I just finish, please? Can I just finish? My last point is this. Madhav, because it's a political show and there are all political panelists and couple of, analysts here, the topic of the show shouldn't have been Gautam Adani because he's an industrialist, nothing to do with politics. The topic of the show would have been, is Modi a crook? Question mark.
No, that is sir, let's not decide the debating topic. You're free to ask questions as Mr. Rahul Gandhi is, and they're free to put out their point of view as well. I think democracy works both ways. But Tuhin Sinha, since there's a pointed question on the BJP, I want you to respond to Riju.
Here, Mr. Riju did not follow the press conference of BJP today, it seems, because very clearly we had made it clear we are not speaking on behalf of Adani. They are capable of defending ourselves. We are only rebutting Rahul Gandhi, who's out to denigrate India's image and who once again has made all kinds of fallacious charges against the government, against the central government, whereas his own state governments of the opposition were involved. Our press conference was centered around around a response to Rahul Gandhi.
Let's not do this, please.
Riju, we only responded to Rahul Gandhi's allegations.
Let him speak.
We have nothing to do with the Adani group.
But then why?
No, one second. Riju, one question. Riju.
Allegations. We have nothing to do with the Adani group. We have nothing to talk about them.
Okay, we are only defending ourselves against the allegations that Rahul Gandhi made against the Prime Minister. We have every right to do so. That's a defense, Riju. And one very pertinent point that you made about the small investors in India being hurt today with the stock market meltdown. Certainly, I think that's a very, very valid point. And many of our viewers perhaps are in that category of people who are affected. But let me ask you, when a big global brokerage like JP Morgan says that they aren't changing their position or their ratings vis-a-vis Adani, whereas Indian investors get spooked on these charges, isn't there also somewhere a question that opposition has to answer by raising these kind of fears at some level or the other? Have we spooked our own investors domestically? Riju?
Madhav, again I will say this. When Tuhin Sinha says on national TV, on prime time show, that BJP has got nothing to do with Adani, BJP Union Minister Mr. Chandrasekhar has tweeted on behalf of Mr. Adani. Amit Malviya has tweeted, why? This is my problem. Let Adani deal with his problems. Why is BJP going on the defensive for him? It is BJP who is indicting themselves, saying that Adani is our paymaster. And please pardon my French, but what Mr. Adani has done is he has made the union government and the Prime Minister a broker for him to go and invest in foreign countries. Enough is enough. Come on. It is thus that people today, the share market has lost 49 lakh.
I'm just reading out. Riju, I'm just reading out what Rajiv Chandrasekhar, he's a former union minister. He says Rahul Gandhi wants a businessman arrested on the basis of a trial. He's responding to Rahul Gandhi. He has tagged Rahul Gandhi, and that's what the BJP is saying. Amit Malviya is also responding to what you have said. Should they not respond now to what Congress and other leaders of opposition say?
Why are we making an issue out of Rahul Gandhi's press conference?
Because he's making allegations on the Prime Minister. It's what we're discussing today. He's a leader of opposition, for heaven's sake. Riju Datta, he's leader of opposition. His press conference, if you don't carry, you will say you are blacking out the opposition. If his press conference is carried and we debate it, you will say, why is the BJP responding?
Carry his press conference, then we can have the debate on Rahul Gandhi and Congress.
No, of course. But those are the charges we are debating. We've read out what Rahul Gandhi has said. We've read out what opposition leaders have said and what BJP has said as well. But Karthikeya Tanna wants to respond to you. Karthikeya.
I just have a quick point. Law and order is a state subject, right? So, okay, if at all they are so convinced that this is a bribery for sure, why doesn't at least there's DMK government in Tamil Nadu, right? Why don't they file an FIR right away? Because the bribery happened in one of the alleged briberies happened in the state of Tamil Nadu because the contracts were related to that. Why don't they file an FIR? That's a simple question. The central government cannot file an FIR. Law and order is a state subject. So why don't they start with that?
Yeah, I think the Aam Aadmi Party can also come in on that. Aam Aadmi Party also, the Punjab government also has contracts with Adani. Is the Punjab government now, Advocate Anmol Pawar, going to cancel its contracts with the Adani Group?
Madhav Ji, I was listening to the BJP spokesperson, and every BJP spokesperson today is making the same argument that indictment is not a proof of guilt. That there's a difference between indictment and conviction. इसका मतलब है कि आरोप लगने में और आरोप साबित होने में बहुत फर्क होता है. They are openly admitting that Arvind Kejriwal ji, Manish Sisodia ji, Sanjay Singh ji, Satyendra Jain ji, they are innocent. They have admitted it before the country. क्योंकि उनके ऊपर भी केवल आरोप लगाए गए हैं, एक भी आरोप साबित नहीं हुआ. And this is what every BJP spokesperson is saying today. Despite overwhelming evidence by a US court investigation exposing massive corruption and loot by Mr. Adani, not a single investigative agency, whether Enforcement Directorate or CBI, they have not taken any action. And for the kind information of Mr. Karthik, I must tell him that it is for the enforcement agencies, investigative agencies like ED and CBI, when there's corruption to the tune of more than 5 crores or 10 crores, they have to step in and take action. But वो एक कहावत है ना, साख जाए तो जाए लेकिन दोस्ती पे आंच ना आए और ना दोस्त पे आंच आए. That is why Mr. Narendra Modi, who is the chief salesman of Mr. Adani, he is not taking any action. And why I'm saying that he's a chief salesman, because I have something to tell to the people. Modi in 2015, he went to Bangladesh. In August 2015, Mr. Adani bagged a deal.
Yeah.
In March 2017, he went to Malaysia. In April 2017, Adani backed a port deal. Modi ji went to Israel in January 2018. In December 2018, Mr. Adani backed a deal. Modi ji went to Singapore in June 2018. In July 2018, Mr. Adani backed a deal. Modi ji went to Sri Lanka in February 2020. In July 2020, Adani backed a deal. Modi ji went to Nepal in June 2023. Adani backed a deal in January 2024.
You've given a number of examples, sir. You've given a number of examples. I want Karan Verma to respond to that. Karan Verma, please respond. Modi ji has travelled abroad. In those countries, Adani has cracked a deal. It's an old allegation that has repeatedly come in from opposition, and this is why they say or allege that the Prime Minister, their allegation is protecting Mr. Gautam Adani. Please respond, Karan Verma.
Madhavji, I need 10 seconds.
So Madhav, I hope I get my 2 minutes, 2 uninterrupted minutes. I have patiently waited. So please. So, Madhav, first of all, what Riju Da said, who is Adani? Adani kaun hai? He is a successful industrialist of this country who has employed tens of thousands of hard-working people. And if today a country doesn't stand with him, where he is recklessly accused of something in a foreign country, and we because of that trigger, we intend to lose close to $2.3 billion of notional wealth here, then there is some measure of decorum, there is some measure of caution that needs to be exercised here. We cannot jump the gun. What happened in Hindenburg? A rogue of an entity, Hindenburg, I must say this, a short seller, rogue of an entity facing charges by the US Justice Department last time triggered a collapse which was absolutely not needed. What happened by the Supreme Court appointed panel? It clearly said that there were no mismatches. Hell, Adani has been under investigation by the DRI, the Department of Revenue Intelligence. For all of them who are saying that no agency has ever investigated them, even the promoters have been investigated. Even Adani's brother-in-law has been investigated by the Karnataka Lokayukt, and 70 investigations, including the promoters themselves. They've stood every single test every single time. I am not saying let's be a banana republic, but let's not jump the gun. How regressive is it, Madhav, that a leader of opposition in this country is saying that because of some indictment in a foreign soil, we should jail our own businessman? I mean, it's ridiculous that Jairam Ramesh actually cheers on that an Indian company has lost a contract in Kenya where we are trying to break the hegemony of China and US who are dominating the market. Where have we stooped? I mean, which level have we gone to? Do we want the Indian growth story to suffer just because we can make Modi look a villain or paint Mr. Modi in a negative light? I mean, it is deplorable how low the opposition has stooped today. Let the facts come out. Let our courts run an investigation. Why are we jumping the gun and falling in the trap?
All right, since you've asked that question of Riju Datta, would you like to respond? Because he says there's a global geopolitical angle as well. There's national interest. There's a threat of China and others who are in fact vying for India's position, and Indian businessmen particularly are on the target. Please respond to that.
Yes, a very simple and pointed answer to Karan Bhai. That Karan, in this country, few days ago, we lost an industrialist called Mr. Ratan Tata. Even on his last day, he kept his head held high. Everybody respected him. Not a single charge of corruption or fraud. And in the same country, we have somebody who's protected by the topmost brass of this country, indicted in a foreign soil. That is where India's head goes down. India does not rise up because of this. Number one. Number two, Mr. Adani is not India. Mr. Modi is not India. India is an entity in itself. Prime ministers change, businessmen change. And the last but not the least, you talk about India's growth story. People like Vijay Mallya and Mehul Choksi have stolen crores of taxpayers' money from Indian banks and they are roaming abroad. Mr. Modi couldn't even arrest them and bring them back.
Okay.
Bola tha na 50 din mein nahi la
Karan Verma, many hands going up. Gentlemen, please bear with me. Many hands going up. Karan Verma, is there a point where, Riju Datta says this, that it has, at some level or the other, it's an embarrassment for India. Both Mallikarjun Kharge as well as Sam Pitoda says that this indictment has hurt India's image internationally. Are they wrong?
They are absolutely wrong, and I'll tell you why. This is the hour where we need to back our own people. If a foreign entity says that they are indicted, fine, we are ready for investigation, but don't jump the gun. Don't create a panic among investors and go on to lose hard-earned money of the small retail investors that we have in our country. That is irresponsible and reckless behavior. I am all for punishment to Adani as long as our courts find him doing something wrong. But our courts, SEBI, Karnataka Lokayuk, they've all given him a clean chit. So either produce some evidence or zip it.
All right, Amol, one second. Amol Pawar, question that's being asked is that the timing of this report is questionable. This has happened just ahead of Parliament session and, of course, at a time when Donald Trump's presidency is impending. Is the timing of the report, is there some kind of deliberate strategy behind the time that this has been released?
Not at all, Madhavji. Madhavji, prima facie, there are charges of corruption, bribery. It is for the investigative agencies to step in. And I'm specifically asking the BJP spokesperson, question number one, that why are they shielding Mr. Adani? Why aren't they taking action against the officials who took the bribe and the ones Mr. Gautam Adani has alleged that a bribe has been given to them to the tune of 2100 crores? And secondly, that why is it that they are not directing the investigative agencies, ED and CBI, to take immediate action and do a thorough investigation into this?
Okay.
Why are they delaying it? And thirdly, if they are today saying that a person is presumed innocent until proven guilty, then were they lying at that time when they were leveling baseless allegations against Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, or are they lying today?
Okay. Many questions for the BJP. Tuhin Sinha, I'd like you to respond to that, because the example that has been cited by certain opposition leaders in the past, over the last 12 or 14 hours since this news story first broke, is that when there was the entire Embraer jet similar DOJ indictment, that's when the CBI picked up and started investigating that entire controversy. So there is a precedent of DOJ indictments leading to agencies' probes here in India, and that has happened in the past. So why can't there be an investigation is what they are asking. Tuhin.
You know, in this particular case, I have made it very clear, if the DMK government, which is the only surviving government from the time that these allegations were made, decides to file an FIR, I would be the first person to support it. In fact, on your show, I'm asking the DMK to file an FIR. You know, I'm not here to defend Adani, but I would take very serious offense to the kind of despicable language which Aam Aadmi Party and TFC has used against Prime Minister on the show. Madhav, I need to answer that. One of the parties says he's a broker for Adani, the other says he's a salesman of the group. I am going to answer that. In the last 10 years, India's defense production and export has grown by over 20 times. Which are the companies which have benefited? HAL and BEL. Do we ever call him an agent of BEL? Do we ever call him a salesperson of BEL? After Prime Minister's visit to the US 2 years back, the Tata Group had got a major Airbus deal, one of the biggest in history. Did you ever call him an agent of Tata? You know, this opposition is out to denigrate the image of the country, and for them, Adani and Modi ji are mere tools. The proximity which they seek to paint between the two is a figment of their imagination. There is no proximity as such, and I once again repeat, let DMK file an FIR against Adani and proceed on the matter.
All right, and I want Tehseen to come in on this. Yeah. Tehseen, I mean, certainly nobody can justify any kind of bad language used against the Prime Minister, against any top leader, because, you know, I've always urged my panelists to keep their language clean. True. One, abuse can lead to another person abusing your leader, and then, it's a free for all. But Tehseen, no, simple question over here is this. Somewhere or the other, do we have to also look at our national interests? Yes. Certainly domestic politics is important. Certainly there has to be accountability. But somewhere or the other, the timing of this, and the question that I asked a little while earlier to Mr. Panwar, that we've seen in the past what's happened before Parliament sessions. There have been strategic leaks just on the eve of the Parliament session, whether it's Pegasus or several other issues. No one's taking away from the importance of these issues, but many people are questioning whether there is a deliberate strategy behind it.
So from what I understand from your question, the hypothesis is the opposition, that is Rahul Gandhi ji, Mamta Banerjee ma'am, etc., all of us have got together, Akhilesh Yadav ji, and have influenced the courts in the USA and officers on duty there. Okay, let's assume Rahul Gandhi, Mamta Banerjee, Akhilesh Yadav, everyone are so powerful. Let's agree on that. The Prime Minister is not. Now, the former Sri Lankan President and the former head of the Sri Lankan Power project has said that the Prime Minister introduced Adani and asked him for the project. They are on record. The former Kenyan Prime Minister has said it. Even the Australian Ombudsman is currently investigating this particular group and have said that it is the Indian government that said that they should get the contract. Not only that, they also investigating the iron ore mining.
Okay.
Now, is all of this being done by the
made this
opposition?
point at the beginning
All of these countries that are doing it have had one common link. They have said there is bribery. There have been shell companies.
Okay, you made the point
Why isn't
earlier.
that being investigated?
I'm going to allow.
Just one line. Just one line. It was investigated
points
in
now,
India.
They are repeating the points.
It was investigated in India.
Yeah.
The authority who was supposed to investigate it, she was involved in this industrialist brother.
Let me bring in Karthik. Let me bring in Karthik. Karthik wants to respond to quick response, Karthik, and then we move on to the second debate.
Madhav, quick response. Every country or every democratic country, as a matter of fact, when they want to advance their own interests, which is they want to bring their own growth up, they always take industrialists with them. Who do you think supplies Rafale from France? The French government? Who do you think supplies weapons from the United States? The US government? No, it's actually the private companies. It's the contractors. That's always the case. So why are we being so uppity about it that, Modi introduced Adani? Of course, Modi will introduce a whole host of people. And Modi is one person who, I must say, has said that he has no qualms in standing next to wealth creators of India and to actually support their interests as long as they match India's interests. So I'm not sure why we are
and it's not like Dr. Manmohan Singh didn't take industrialists with him abroad. Let's leave it now. Let's leave it there. We've had a very good discussion. Let's leave it there. Let's not let this debate degenerate, please. I'd like to thank all our panelists for joining us, particularly